Good morning, I'm Maddie Jansen, and this is the podcast of 17 News at Sunrise. It's everything you need to know to start your day in about 15 minutes.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Smoke seen from Dodger Stadium over the weekend as residents are forced from their homes by a wildfire. We'll check progress this morning as crews continue to battle the Eagle Rock fire.
Every parent knows the fear over protecting their newborn, but in Kern County, even their own bed can be a dangerous spot. From 2012 to 2017, more than 40 babies died due to an unsafe sleeping environment. We'll have the latest recommendation from experts on keeping your infant safe.
It's time to fill the Tundra. We'll tell you how you can help the folks at the Bakersfield Animal Care Center rescue and care for homeless pets in our community. This is Monday, August 26, 2019. Good morning. Great to have you with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. So often people want to help. You know, they have a heart for animals, but maybe their house is full. Maybe they live in a place where they can't adopt a pet, and this is a great way to help.
Yeah, we'll have more on that coming up, but it was definitely a warm weekend out there. We saw the triple digits return, and boy, did it feel toasty.
Yeah, it's going to be hanging around here as we go throughout the early part of the week before we see any type of relief. Yesterday, we hit 101. That should say Sunday, actually. Sunday's temperature of 101, and the record on that day, 111, 2010. As we take a look at the numbers right now, 77 degrees, so it is warm, a south wind at 3. And as we take a look at the dog walk forecast today, we highlight Gizmo, 81 degrees by 8 a.m., 88 at 10, and we're in the 90s this afternoon. And then finally by 4 o'clock, making it right near 101. For the mountains, Tehachapi 68, a west-northwest wind at 9. And as we take a look at the day here, it is going to be warm with those upper 80s. I wouldn't be surprised if some areas hit the lower 90s. We'll talk much more about your forecast in a bit, but first, traffic with Alex.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. Take you outside for the first time this morning to the 99 near White Lane, and it's looking pretty good on that side of town. Everything else around the county also looking good to start off your Monday morning. We'll have another check coming up in about 15 minutes.
People living near the border of Glendale and Eagle Rock in Southern California are back in their homes this morning after a fast-moving brush fire forced them out. The flames broke out just after 4 yesterday afternoon. The fire completely shut down the 134 freeway and forced evacuations. The smoke could be seen from Dodger Stadium during yesterday's game. More than 200 firefighters are battling flames by air and on the ground. No one was hurt and no homes were damaged. While fire crews have lifted evacuation orders, the 134 and 2 freeways are still closed. No word on what sparked this fire.
New video shows a bird's eye view at the fires that continue to sweep across the Brazilian Amazon. You can see the area completely engulfed in smoke and flames. The government says more than 41,000 fires have sparked in the region so far this year. Half of them started just this month. Experts say most of the fires are set by farmers or ranchers clearing existing farmland. We're also getting a look at some of the charred landscape in the Amazon as firefighters continue to try and get the upper hand on these fires. Tens of thousands of soldiers are also joining the battle to extinguish the flames. Earlier this morning, the G7 countries agreed to an immediate $20 million fund to help fund that firefight.
Breaking news out of France this morning. President Trump says China is ready to end the trade war. This morning, the president announced China called overnight ready to make a trade deal. The call came just hours after President Trump said he was having second thoughts about taxing Chinese goods.
And also very big things are happening with China. You probably read the breaking news a little while ago that they want to make a deal. They just came out and they want calm. And that's a great thing, frankly.
Meantime, the president continues to meet with other world leaders at the G7 summit in France. The conference wraps up later today.
Stunning admissions out of Los Angeles. Out of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department this weekend. The department now says a deputy who says he was shot by a sniper in the Lancaster Station parking lot made it all up. It all happened Wednesday. Deputy Angel Reynosa was walking to his car in the employee parking lot. That's when he said he was hit by a bullet from a nearby apartment building. But the Sheriff's Department says Reynosa eventually confessed to lying, even saying the deputy cut holes in his shirt that were thought to be bullet holes.
At this time, we are incredibly disappointed to have to report to you that the reported sniper assault was fabricated by our deputy.
Now the 21-year-old rookie, still in training, is out of a job and under investigation. Reynosa didn't give a reason for making up the story, but law enforcement sources told NBC News he recently received unfavorable performance reviews while in training. This case now goes to the DA's office, and he could face criminal charges.
It's happened again. 7 people are lucky to be alive after their plane skidded across a California runway before being engulfed in flames. It happened around 10:30 last night. Airport officials told our affiliate KSVY the plane declared some sort of an emergency in Santa Barbara County and then crash landed on the primary runway. One man who saw the crash said he saw the plane skid along the runway for several hundred feet before coming to a stop. Firefighters quickly knocked down the flames. So far, there aren't any reports of injuries. The NTSB and FAA are expected to investigate what caused the crash.
A flash fire at Buena Vista Lake sent more than a half dozen people, including kids, to the hospital. It happened yesterday morning. Firefighters are still trying to figure out how the fire sparked, but they think a family was fueling their boat when it happened. The fire spread from the dock area to the lake store nearby. Flames badly burned 8 people, 4 of whom were kids. Paramedics rushed them all to the hospital. 2 of them had to be taken via helicopter. Health officials don't believe there is any contamination to the lake. They also say there was no visible damage to the dock and fueling station. There's a GoFundMe page for one of the families hurt in the fire. We've posted that link on our website, KGET.com.
Yet another body has been pulled from the fast-moving waters of the Killer Kern. Yesterday afternoon, KCSO search and rescue crews got a call about a body in the river. Crews recovered the body about a half-mile downstream from Keysville. The victim's identity has not been released. 7 people have died in the river so far this year. An 11-year-old girl who went missing in the Keysville area in late June remains missing. KCSO is also investigating a deadly shooting in Mojave. It happened just after 7 Saturday night on L Street. Deputies arrived and found a man who had been shot. Paramedics rushed him to the hospital where he died. Deputies detained one man on scene and questioned him, but he was later released. Anyone with information about the case is encouraged to contact KCSO.
It is 5:07 now, and local cannabis activist David Abbasi is due back in court this morning as he fights to keep his guns. Lawyers representing KCSO and BPD argue Abbasi's behavior in recent months is raising red flags about his emotional state. They point to an outburst at a Board of Supervisors meeting last spring. So they're going after 5 guns Abbasi owns, concerned he may turn them on others. But court documents obtained by 17 News reveal 5 witnesses in the case argue Abbasi is not a threat. 3 other witnesses signed declarations for the court stating they don't believe Abbasi is a threat to anyone.
It's back to school today at CSUB. The fall semester officially begins. Today marks CSUB's 50th first day. The university says it will welcome a record 11,380 new and returning students to both of its Bakersfield and Antelope Valley campuses. Many freshmen and transfer students spent the weekend moving into on-campus housing and participating in activities to get excited for the new school year. It's also the first day of the fall semester at Bakersfield College. Renegades can stop by one of the welcome tents for free donuts while supplies last. The director of student life recommends students arrive early for classes for the first 2 weeks because they recommend you carpool, bike, or get dropped off because campus is expected to be very busy.
Yeah, good luck to all of them this new school year.
Very exciting.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
Watch what you're buying online. A new investigation found thousands of unsafe or mislabeled products on Amazon. The Wall Street Journal reports some third-party sellers are selling potentially unsafe items there. That's according to their investigation, which found more than 4,000 items for sale that federal regulators have banned or declared unsafe. Nearly half of the items were listed as shipping from an Amazon warehouse. Some were even promoted as Amazon's choice. After the findings were brought to Amazon's attention, the Journal said the e-commerce giant took down or adjusted the wording on 57% of those listings. Tens of thousands of AT&T workers are on strike across the Southeast because of what they call unfair labor practices. Among them, hundreds in Memphis who picketed at an AT&T facility yesterday. The strike won't affect AT&T's cell phone service, but it could affect UVerse cable service. The union that represents the workers claims the utility companies bargaining in bad faith, sending people without the power to make decisions to the negotiating table. In a statement, AT&T says it remains ready to sit down with union leaders to negotiate a new, improved contract for our employees. Alex?
All right, Maddie, thanks so much. Speeding. So many of us do it, but what happens when you get caught? We'll break down the results of a new survey that asks what excuse do you use when you get pulled over.
Welcome back. Some of us have even broken down in tears. All right, guilty.
Have you?
Others have used one or more of a long list of excuses, but all of it is just to keep a police officer from writing that speeding ticket.
Yeah, some research on these roadside pleas from Mercy has actually turned up something that's almost as effective than an excuse. Chris Clackham explains.
When it comes to speeding, a new survey finds the vast majority of us freely admit we do it.
We had 82% admitting that they drive over the speed limit by as much as 15 miles per hour.
So then the survey asked, when stopped by police, what excuse did you use? 24% claimed they didn't realize they were speeding. 18% said they were late for work. Another 14% remarked they were just going as fast as everyone else. There were more excuses, and interestingly, most are effective.
Half of the drivers we surveyed avoided speeding tickets by providing an excuse.
But Michelle Magnum with carinsurance.com says the survey found that almost as good as offering an excuse is asking the officer for just a warning.
41% of the drivers we surveyed asked for a warning received it instead of a ticket.
A speeding ticket that comes with fines and auto insurance increases of up to 30%. Chris Clackham, NBC News.
I remember my very first speeding ticket, and I was like down in college. I think it was my first year, and I just broke down in tears because, I mean, you're also young, and when you get pulled over, you're terrified, right? And I started crying, and I remember the officer looked at me and he goes, "Are you crying?" And like, he was just shocked that I was in tears, and I was like, "No, I'm not crying."
How many times have you been pulled over?
I don't remember. I mean, I've been driving for a long time.
Yeah, I've only been
not a ton. I think I've only had like one speeding ticket.
Yeah, I've only had one. I was pulled over on the Grapevine one night, like in the middle of the night. I was coming home.
That's scary.
And it was one of those moments where there were no other cars around me. It was because it was in the middle of the night. And so I was just going down the Grapevine and had no idea how fast I was going. Yeah. And then all of a sudden,
Did you get the ticket?
I got the ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Did you try and give him an excuse or no?
No, I did. I owned up to it. I was like, yeah. And I told him, I said, yeah, I had no idea how fast I was going. And he said, oh, yeah, it's a common problem, especially in the middle of the night. Here's your ticket.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
All right.
And I will say, though, but because of that, I am super cautious now.
I'm
one of those people that I do follow the speed limit.
And I think especially since having kids, personally, I feel like out of just safety reasons, I want to. I feel like it's not worth it getting there maybe a minute faster.
Oh, I'm the person that is always driving down 21st Street through the Westchester neighborhood, and I go at the 35 miles per hour. Oh yeah,
people are like getting out from behind you.
Well, and now you see sometimes the officers are not even, they're like off to the side. They're not even in their cars. They'll stand out in front of it and like say stop. They're not even in their cars and give you a ticket. So you got to watch out.
Yep, beware. Plus, we've got school zones in effect now, y'all.
That's for sure.